Hi, my name is Manny Otto, and this is my video contribution to the Why I Advocate the Zeitgeist Movement initiative that Peter Joseph started. I'm going to be looking at notes from time to time, but I want this to be as natural as I can. So I created this video to voice the need for humanity to transition from our current global monetary-based economy to a global resource-based economy. I guess in order for me to really be able to qualify my opinion in any way other than it just being another person adding a video to YouTube, I want to share a little bit about my background. You can see I'm a veteran of conscious and conventional business. I was a developer, a web developer, and a project manager in the telecom and software industries during the dot-com bubble. And then after that, I was a website manager for one of the top 10 home builders in the United States between 2003 and 2005 during the home building bubble. And then really kind of during that time, I had been one of the primary organizational leaders at the Joseph Campbell Foundation, whose work I'd been studying since the early 90s. And really that's been the underlying ethos that I've been subscribing to for a couple decades now. And that led me to really want to take what I was doing part-time. I was kind of a half-time participant in the Joseph Campbell Foundation. I was paid, but it was largely in a volunteer spirit, and I wanted to work more full-time. And so I ended up transitioning to a company called Gaiam, and they're a pretty major conscious media company. You know, look them up, you'll see who they are. And I worked with them for about 18 months, working on their Spiritual Cinema Circle project as a web producer. And then I went to a company called Sounds True, which is an audio publisher of teachers like Eckhart Tolle and Ken Wilber, Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of Nonviolent Communication, Pema Chodron. The list goes on, but they're a pretty major publisher of audio programs for people who are interested in the spiritual path, and was their marketing manager, an online marketing manager for them for about a year. And then moved on. I'm now an independent publisher. I work for a pretty major publishing company in the independent sphere. I won't name any names. This isn't an advertisement. But I'm a publisher and an educator. And what I'm most interested in is the stories that humans are telling themselves and have always told themselves about our place on the planet, our place in the universe, our relationship to one another. And it's really, and really that goes back to the work that I started with Joseph Campbell. You know, he said that we need new cultural stories that allow us to view all the people on the planet as the quote-unquote chosen people, and the entire planet as the Holy Land. Any story that states differently, such as a religious creed or a nationalistic pledge, is not taking the current realities of our world into consideration. And many of our stories that we tell ourselves are factual and literal, and we call them science and history. And then some of the stories that we tell are poetic and fictional, and we call those myths, and we also call them religious literature. I see a key aspect of human nature. There's a lot of debate about what's human nature, and the Zeitgeist movement has been really taking that argument on quite heavily. And I see the facets of some of the key components of human nature to be the ability that we have to update our stories to new circumstances and environments, And that's really what we have now. We have a new circumstance. We have a new environment that really is not this culture over here or this nation over here, but really it's a global culture and a global nation. And I see that the Venus Project and the Zeitgeist Movement are upgrading these stories in some fundamental and necessary ways. They're basically telling new stories that, while celebrating my individuality, are allowing me to connect to my entire human family, and also to the core of my being as a compassionate and loving spirit. Now, who creates these stories? Well, essentially, the stories are created by artists of one kind or another, and that includes scientists. And they're individuals that open up creatively and allow their hearts and their minds to infuse the type and texture of the stories that they're telling. And, what we need is we need more people to wake up to their humanity and join in the storytelling and in the creating of a new world, our world. It's an our world experience. It's not an our nation or an our town or our religion. It's our world and our people. And so, that's pretty much the basis of my work and my interest in the Zeitgeist Movement. And please visit thezeitgeistmovement.com. There you'll learn more about how we can move beyond the traditional ideologies that have brought us to this point, and which we can honor for having brought us to this point, but they're currently holding us back, and we need to move into a new sustainable social paradigm called a resource-based economy. And that's essentially everything that's really driving me in supporting the Zeitgeist Movement and the Venus Project. And a final word on that, those are really just names for ideas. I really don't hang per se on the name of the Zeitgeist Movement or the name of the Venus Project, but I do hang on to and support the ideas that they're promoting, which is to really account for our resources and what we're using to live as a species based on what the planet actually has and can sustain, and really not a philosophy of money, which is what we're operating on now. And it's a philosophy of money that empowers, in many cases, the most sociopathic individuals in society. And we need to make a place for people who are, I guess you could say, injured or wounded in that way, but we can't put them in charge. So, let's, just spread the word, discuss these ideas, and figure out how to put the sane people in charge, and make a space where the sicker individuals who are really trying to dominate and enslave the rest of their fellow humans, put them in their appropriate place, which I'm sure there is one, and we'll figure out what it is, but it isn't leading us. Thank you.